Yo, what's up guys, Teacher Paul over here, and today we are reacting to Canada history. I have no idea about Canada history, absolutely no clue, so I'm hoping that this video will give me a little bit of knowledge about Canada. If you guys have more knowledge, let me know in the comments down below. My name is Teacher Paul because I'm an English teacher. You know, I teach foreigners how to speak English, just getting that out of the way because I can see some comments. I'm not a history teacher by any means. I'm just curious about Canada, and guys, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's go.
Canada, the second largest country in the world, occupies most of the northern part of North America, covering the vast land area from the United States in the south to the Arctic Circle in the north. It is a country of enormous distances and rich natural resources. Indigenous people lived in what is now Canada for thousands of years before the first Europeans arrived. They are known as the First Nations and the Inuit people.
Okay.
The first European people to come to Canada arrived between 15,000 and 30,000 years ago across a land bridge that joined Asia and North America.
That's very interesting. This was like when, like Pangea, right?
Around 1000 AD, the Viking explorer Leif Erikson reached Newfoundland, Canada. He tried to establish a settlement, but it didn't last. In the early 16th century...
How did he call it? Newfoundland? Is it Newfoundland?
Canada. He tried to establish a settlement. The Viking explorer Leif Erikson reached Newfoundland,
Newfoundland. Is that how you say it? Newfoundland. Interesting.
He tried to establish a settlement, but it didn't last. In the early 16th century, Europeans started exploring Canada's eastern coast, beginning with John Cabot from England. Between 1534 and 1542, Jacques Cartier made 3 voyages across the Atlantic, claiming the land for King Francis I of France. Cartier had 2 captured guides speak the Iroquoian word Kanata, meaning village.
Kanata or katana? I think this is misspelled. Katana is a sword, isn't it?
Kanata, meaning village. By the 1550s, the name of Canada began appearing on maps.
Canada.
Parts of Canada were settled by France, and parts by Great...
Oh, okay. So Canada is it means village. So this is katana, no, kanata, Canada. Okay, interesting. Well, okay, that's how you guys got your name.
Speak the Iroquoian word Kanata, meaning village. By the 1550s, the name of Canada began appearing on maps. Parts of Canada were settled by France, and parts by Great Britain. In 1605, Port Royal was built in Acadia by the French, led by Samuel de Champlain, and 3 years later, he started settling Quebec. The French and Aboriginal people collaborated in the vast fur trade economy, driven by the demand for beaver pelts in Europe. Outstanding leaders like Jean Talon, Bishop Laval, and Count Frontenac built a French empire in North America that reached from Hudson Bay to the Gulf of Mexico.
Wow.
In the 1700s, France and Great Britain battled for control of North America.
Okay, so this is something that I knew about Canada, that, you know, some parts are mainly French and some parts are mainly English. So this is interesting for me to discover how it came to be.
In 1759, the British defeated the French in the Battle of the Plains of Abraham at Quebec City, marking the end of France's empire in America. The commanders of both armies, Brigadier James Wolfe and the Marquis de Montcalm, were killed leading their troops in battle. Following the war, Great Britain renamed the colony the Province of Quebec. The French-speaking Catholic people, known as habitants or Canadians, strove to preserve their way of life in the English-speaking, Protestant-ruled British Empire. After the American Revolutionary War, many people in the new United States wanted to stay loyal to Britain. Thousands came north to Canada and settled in Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Quebec, and Ontario. During the War of 1812, the United States tried to conquer Canada but were defeated. In 1867, the province of Canada was joined by 2 other British colonies of New Brunswick and Nova Scotia through Confederation.
Here's the thing about this. Canada is a huge country, but the population is very small. So I'm thinking probably the terrain was the main, the temperature and the terrain was the main reason the US lost, maybe. But it's very interesting to see how Canada doesn't have one of the biggest populations in the world. And that came to a surprise to me when I found out. Is it like 30 million? I don't know how many people live in Canada. Let me just Google that. Canada population. 38 million. So you can imagine that Canada, being the second biggest country, would be, you know, highly populated, but it's not. And I think it comes down to the terrain. There are so many unexplored areas. Let's say the icy areas and the mountainous areas are unpopulated, I would guess. But it's very interesting to find out that such a huge country has a small population. My own country is the 5th biggest country in the world, and it has over 200 million people. So, you know, it's big and it's populated. Russia also is the biggest country in the world. However, it's not the most populated, and also because there's a lot of land that people don't or cannot live there, like because of the terrain, because of the very cold temperatures. So I would guess that played a big role in the war. But I don't know, I might be wrong, because I know that I think New York is like right on, is it? Yeah, I think New York is close to Canada, maybe bordering Canada, and, well, not New York. I don't know. I'm not very good at American geography right now. But I'm trying to remember, there's a city that was the border of Canada. But you guys can correct me in the comment section. And the thing is, that area is very, very cold. So the temperature can go -10, -15 degrees. I'm just saying this because I vaguely remember when I was in New York, a friend of mine invited me to one of the cities that he was living in, which was bordering Canada. And he said it was like -10 at that time. And I was like, whoa, that is really cold. Anyways, guys, I need to brush up on my geography. But yeah, okay, let's go.
But were defeated. In 1867, the province of Canada was joined by 2 other British colonies of New Brunswick and Nova Scotia through Confederation, forming a self-governing entity named Canada. Canadian soldiers fought in World War I for the British Empire. More Canadians died in this war than any other war.
Wow.
Canada became better known as a country after its success in the capturing of Vimy Ridge from the Germans in France in 1917. Women were given the right to vote by the end of the war, partly because of the help they gave making weapons while the men fought in Europe. In 1931, Canada became fully independent. Then the government of Canada made all decisions about Canada. The British Parliament passed the Statute of Westminster in 1931, which acknowledged Canada as a co-equal with the United Kingdom and the other Commonwealth realms. It was a crucial step in the development of Canada as a separate state, in that it provided for nearly complete legislative autonomy from the Parliament of the United Kingdom. The Canadian economy boomed during World War II as its industries manufactured military material for Canada, Britain, China, and the Soviet Union.
Wow, I had no idea about that.
Despite another conscription crisis in Quebec in 1944, Canada finished the war with a large army and strong economy. In the 1960s, the Quiet Revolution took place in Quebec, overthrowing the old establishment which centered on the Roman Catholic Archdiocese of Quebec and led to modernizing of the economy. In the same period, Canada adopted the maple leaf flag, although not without considerable debate and misgivings among a large number of English-Canadian society. In 1981, the Canadian House of Commons and Senate passed a resolution requesting that the British Parliament enact a package of constitutional amendments which would end the last powers of the British Parliament to legislate for Canada and would create an entirely Canadian process for constitutional amendments. Canada's capital is Ottawa, and its 3 largest metropolitan areas are Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver. Canada is sparsely populated, the majority of its land area being dominated by forest and tundra.
Okay.
Consequently, its population is highly urbanized, with over 80% of its inhabitants concentrated in large areas and medium-sized cities, many near the southern border. Thank you for watching. Please check out our other animated...
Okay, so this is what I was talking about, you know, the terrain probably does not allow, like in my country, I'm from Brazil, like the Amazon is a very big state in Brazil. However, most of it cannot be populated because of, you know, the terrain and of course the rainforest. And going back to what I was saying earlier, in terms of geography. I don't like speaking. I'm not very confident on speaking about something that I'm not 100% sure, but I was mentioning that New York State was bordering Canada, not New York City, just to, make that clear. But anyways, guys, I'm also a little bit sick, so sorry if I dragged a little bit to speak. I'm trying to preserve my voice and try not to cough. But hey, this was a very quick video about Canada, and I would love to know more. I've been exploring other countries here on the channel, so if you want to find out about Norway, Sweden, like many countries that have, like Indonesia, India, a lot of different countries that I've seen here on the channel, then you can check out the other videos. And if you guys want me to do music reactions, then let me know in the comments as well. Singers from Canada. I've done Celine Dion also, so you guys can check that out. Anyways, thank you for watching. I will see you on the next video, guys. Take care for now. Bye-bye.